Welcome everybody to Phoenix Rising, spotlighting up-and-coming bands and artists for the world of rock. I'm your host, Kristian Fenix. Joining me today is Reno, Nevada-based Reggae-Rockers, Seedless 10DenC. Thank you guys for coming on.
Our pleasure.
Good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Right.
Excellent opportunity. Thank you.
Right on. I wanted to kick things off by going around the table with my guests. If you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourself and what your role is in the band. Grady, let's go ahead and start with you.
All right. Well, my goal is, did you say my goal or role?
Your role. We'll get to goals later.
Right. Yeah. I'm the lead vocalist, for the band. And, one of the, main components, of course, of the songwriting. And we started back in 2010 with myself, Paul Anthony, and Caleb Advincula, who are no longer with the band. And over the years, we've picked up some fine, outstanding professional musicians that are here with us today. And that's what I do, lead vocals, and basically the ringmaster of hopefully the big circus.
the monkeys.
Right. Center stage for you, Grady, right? Right on. Let's move on to Sammy. Sammy, what's your role in the band?
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm the drummer in the band, percussion. Just having fun with these guys, and it's been a pleasure, and that's what I do.
Very cool. Yeah, man after my own heart. I was a drummer growing up, and so I definitely feel for you back there behind the kit. Moving on, let's go to Joe. Joe, what do you do with Seedless 10DenC?
I'm the keyboard player, and I just love hanging out with these crazy bastards.
When you're still allowed to hang out with them, right? And then finally...
keyboards.
Awesome. Finally, moving on to Evan. Evan, what do you do?
I play bass for this project. I remember seeing Seedless 10DenC when I came into the music scene in Reno, and I really dug their sound, dug their stage presence. And last year, Grady asked if I wanted to come in and play for the band and do a couple of recordings for him, and I've just had a great time. We've got a really fun time playing together on stage, so I've enjoyed it.
Very cool. And I understand there's a couple members of the band, Danny and Rick, who weren't able to join us today. But Grady, if you wouldn't mind just running down who they are and what they do.
Yeah, so Danny Baez, of course, we met him through Sammy. He brought him in, and that's kind of a story, by itself. But he's been pretty, of course, amazing. All the musicians are amazing, but Danny, the lead guitarist, and Rick Metz, of course, the sax man, Rick Metz, local icon. He's been here for a long time, and his list of accomplishments and the shows that he's played is just so impressive. And he wasn't able to make it. And then another newbie that's kind of joined the band, and we're looking forward to having him on stage for the first time sometime in the future, is a local music teacher. His name is Casey Smith, and he plays trumpets with in the horn section with Rick.
And I forgot to mention one other person, Saul Gonzalez as well.
Saul, he's actually, again, definitely part of the inner family. When Caleb broke off years ago, and it was just Paul and myself, we were looking for, of course, a drummer and percussionist, and Sammy gave us a 2-for-1 with his cousin.
Yep.
And so Saul is definitely a mainstay.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned a little bit about how you got started, some of the original members. Was it one of those things where you started out as a cover band, just playing reggae rock hits that you knew, and then ventured into writing your own music? How did it start? What was the evolution of that?
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the word evolution because we did start out as a cover band in 2008. I auditioned for this project. It ultimately was called Deepwater Suite, with the last word suite, S-U-I-T-E. So it basically kind of like symbolized Davy Jones, underwater locker, Davy Jones locker underwater, kind of, that was the theme. And we were pretty much rockers, you know what I mean? We would cover, kind of like the grunge, that started in the 90s. We wouldn't play any cover, that was probably more than 10 years old, for the most part. And we started rocking it, but we started writing, and different guys have different interests. And ultimately, we brought on a different guitarist and drummer and started, we got the first recording, Evolution from Deepwater was the title of our debut album, right at the same time that we were invited to play Cali Roots, a pretty prestigious reggae festival in Monterey, California. And when we got there, of course, our music was groove based, but it was very different, from reggae. It wasn't reggae at all. And so, not saying we stood out like a sore thumb, but we were just different. And so the organizer of the event said, hey, work on, kind of a more conducive sound to what we're doing here. And over the weekend, I fell in love with the culture, the movement. I always thought reggae was kind of boring, but I found out a lot different. It's very fascinating, and there's so many different styles that you can attack it. And that's what we wanted to do at the end of the day, was to not be an authentic reggae band, because to me that would insult the culture, me being a 50-something-year-old, white male. But we could definitely, provide some fusion and some good beach vibes. And again, just groove-based musicians that come in, everybody, Sammy, of course, him and his cousin, come from a Latino background. Evan can play anything. And, Joe come in, the blue-based background, but his chops, he could do anything that he puts his mind to. And all he had to do was tell me that he liked reggae and loved reggae, and that he was in.
Right.
So here we are.
Very cool. Yeah. And can't wait to see you guys live. Obviously, Grady, G-Man, you appear on my morning show with the football picks that we do. But I've been yearning to see you guys when you actually go out on the road, or at least play one of the live venues here, which, I'm really looking forward to. But we got to wait until the end of the lockdown, shutdown, all of that. In any case, we are getting ready to head to a break. When we come back, we're going to be hearing one of their songs called It's Called Greed. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com, brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart and don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. For help keeping yours at a healthy range, text PRESSURE to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take 1.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
It may be hard to believe, but people just like you are already saving money. FeedThePig.org makes it easy. Their simple savings plan teaches you how to start saving.
without going overboard. So you don't need to sell all your belongings and live in a commune.
These dungarees belong to all of us now, Tom.
You don't need to get a second job as a stuntman.
We need a new stuntman!
You just need feedthepig.org. Don't get left behind. Get tips and tools at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Listen to this song, 'cause all can sing along, come huddling. Just gender flip the page, it doesn't matter, hey, let's juggle it. You know we talk aloud, enough to scream and shout about the greed that's taking over the world. And even though we see all this hypocrisy, we still allow the small elite to rule us. Never thought it would see the day when the people in all our races becoming slaves again without force. All the people pushed aside, we use our music to unhide the very ones who want to oppress us more. They want more. Yeah, they want more. They want more. So now our children see examples, you and me, and how we getting by, living day by day. The greed that makes us eat the info on the screen, not realizing that it's how they feed us. All the people in the way seem to vanish in the haze of inquisition without justice. All the action trickles down, not the way the news goes down. But you're not begging, no, but you need more. You need more. You need more, more, more. You need more, and it's concrete. You got your cash, stocks and bonds, and all of those credit cards. How much do you need before you make all your greed trickle all the way down to me? You always seem to take advantage. Our people can't even make a living wage. Hey, hey, we know you're lying in your pockets. You say, don't take it personally. And all that I know is it's called greed. You know, I just gotta ask you guys something. And y'all, what'd you do with all of our money? Because it sure seems to us you all think it's funny. Whatever happened to a land of milk and honey? And it's concrete. You got your cash, your stocks and bonds and all of those credit cards. Now how much do you need before you make all your greed trip all the way down to me? It's called greed. It's called greed. Hey, hey, hey. Now how much do you need before you make all your greed trickle all the way down to me?
And welcome back to Phoenix Rising Rock Spotlight. Today, we are talking with the guys of Seedless 10DenC. You just heard It's Called Greed. If you guys wouldn't mind elaborating a little bit about what that song's about and what it means to you.
Well, I'll start. That was written in 2000. The lyrics are 2014. We started putting the music in 2015 as far as the tracks, but it was written on the heels of the Occupy Wall Street movement, you know, with the 1% versus the 99% and everything that was going on in the banking industry. I basically wrote that from the spectrum of one of the protesters sitting on the steps of, one of the major banks, with what they were doing and protesting. And of course, Sammy, it was one of the first songs, again, that when he joined the band that we were working on. And he drove the whole process. It started with his beat and how he's attacking it, and it was a lot of fun putting that song together. And when people just read the lyrics, it's some pretty profound stuff that I'm proud of.
Yeah, and I think it has a place in today's world even more so than probably when you even wrote it.
Absolutely, it stayed topical. It was actually the first video that we released this year, even though the song was back in 2015. And it's a pretty chill vibe, you know what I mean? But again, it's one of those songs that so far has been our most played song on the radio. And, people, you seem to really jive with the message that we're delivering in this one.
Very cool. Now, you mentioned Sammy brought the beat to you. Sammy, if you wouldn't mind elaborating, was it something that you just woke up in the middle of the night in your head, something you had worked out? How did you end up crafting that to bring to the guys?
I don't, you guys can hear me,
oh,
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah, cool. So, Grady always brought really great, lyrics, and he always kind of had a beat in mind of how he wanted, not wanted a song, but how he thought that song should kind of go, or just the way the lyrics played with it. And, we just took it from there, me and the bass player, Paul, just able to make it come alive, give the different rhythms and stuff like that. It's a really, like you guys said, a powerful song, and I felt like it deserved a very powerful sort of beat, and it was a great time writing that song.
Very cool. Now, obviously, I mean, I've grown up with rock music from the Beatles all the way up to Slayer, and I love all the different influences that come in, and you get a little hook of something, and it's something you want to play with, something you want to adapt. That song for me, I get a little bit of a Pink Floyd vibe from, just in the syncopation, the way that it plays out. Speaking about influences, who were your guys' biggest influences individually as you were learning to become musicians?
Let's go from the bottom up, start with Evan.
Okay. When I first wanted to play bass, it was Around the World from Red Hot Chili Peppers. I just heard how mean the riff was. I was like, this sounds so great. I want to learn how to replicate this. So that's where I really got down and dirty. I started playing bass and playing like drums and keyboard before, but what really drove me to play bass was Flea's bass style. He's just, he attacks it so relentlessly, and he gets such a good thump sound. And that's when I learned that bass guitar is just how you attack the note. You don't have like a lot of effects like a guitar player would, and a guitar player uses a pick, so there's not as many options most of the time. So that led me to like players like Mark King and Les Claypool to develop your right hand technique. And that's kind of what just kept me attached to my instrument, was those key players. Those three, to this day, I still refer back to. It's like, how did he do that one riff? Because that was cool. How Les Claypool has a very specific technique where he puts thump and flamenco style together.
That's very cool. Yeah. Unfortunately,
it's very interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of bands, the bass player ends up being an extra guitar player who just has to pick up the bass because they need a bass player. It's nice when you make it your own. Joe, what about your influences?
Well, I'm the old guy in the group, and so my early influences, I'm also a guitar player as well, and my earliest influences was, of course, Elvis Presley and some of those cats, and as I grew into my teens, I started really, really listening to a lot of jazz and mostly Steely Dan. B.B. King, big influence, fortunately. I was in a band that opened for him, and I had quit about a week and a half before they opened for him. Such a bummer. I missed, and he was, they told me he was just the coolest guy. But anyway, those are some of my earlier influences. And then, of course, just some of the reggae stuff that's up there. I listened, by the way, when I first joined this band, Grady came to me and he says, come out and listen to this project we're doing. And I said, okay, great. I've been here for about, I think, 6 months or so here in Reno from the coast. And so I went and listened. I liked what I heard. And he goes, well, we have a gig this Friday. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah, you got to learn these 13 songs. So he gives me, this is on a Tuesday. So you can imagine the learning curve on that was really steep. Yeah. And it was fun because, I sunk myself into it. I wasn't working as much right then. And so I was able to sink myself into the tunes. And turns out it was a concert venue. And so it was interesting. The opening act was Jelly Bread. I don't think that was quite daunting, but yeah, I've been with them ever since, and unfortunately we got shut down this year, but I'm sure we'll come back. So
we'll talk about Trial by Fire. Nothing like learning 13 songs in the span of 5 days, and busting it out. And of course, if you mess up a little bit, nobody's going to blame you for it, but I assume that probably wasn't the case. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to head to another break. When we come back, we're going to hear about Sammy and Grady's influences, and we'll play another song for you. Folks, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Allison is perfect. I mean, she'd never tell you that. She's humble and perfect. She likes everyone. She even likes her untidy roommate's weird guinea pig. Allison, wait, are you texting and driving? Allison, no, that's the exact opposite of what I was just saying about you. Why, Allison, why? Texting and driving makes good people look bad. Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Paul George of the Indiana Pacers. When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke. So I want you to learn to spot a stroke fast. F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. I'm Paul George. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool, and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired, Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back, folks, to Phoenix Rising Rock Spotlight, today on Seedless 10DenC. Now, before the break, we were talking about individual influences. Wanted to get over to Sammy and find out who inspired you growing up.
What's funny is I grew up really religious. That's how I learned how to play drums, was because my family opened up a church and they needed a drummer. So it was listening to a bunch of Christian Spanish music. And when I would get home, I'd lock myself in the room and watch MTV, and I'd listen to Korn, Limp Bizkit, POD, and then a bunch of other different bands like Rush. I was obsessed with all those guys. So they really helped mold. I mean, I was into heavy metal, Slipknot. I was in a couple heavy metal bands like double bass, like death metal stuff. And then I started playing like in some funk cover bands. Like Kool and the Gang, stuff like that. So I really got into all that kind of stuff and kind of meshed it into like the style that I have now. So it's just been influence from everywhere, from Christian music to satanic music. So it's just been a little bit of everything.
Well, the nice thing is, going through those different things, if you were just a heavy metal drummer, it's nothing but loud. I mean, you're turning that thing up to 11 at all times. But, when you've got funk and, you learn dynamics and the value of bringing the volume up and down based on where you're at in the song itself. Now, moving on with influences, Grady, obviously as a frontman, as a singer, who inspired you?
I think my earliest influence was Hugh Hefner. That's a different
That's
interview.
in life. Yeah.
No, again, I'm one of the older guys of the band. So I was back in the day. My earliest I can remember, of course, like Joe mentioned, my dad having Elvis, Hank Williams, Ferlin Husky, those type of that type of music. And then, of course, my neighbors started getting me into the music that my parents didn't want me listening to, and that was the Beatles and Led Zeppelin. And of course, Black Sabbath, you went through the whole gauntlet. Of course, you went through, the pop artists like Journey and Foreigner, but they were still rock, so they're fantastic. Of course, Sammy mentioned Rush. And I think on one of the shows that you had, it was a band that I didn't like at first, but of course, how can you not like what they have accomplished? And that was Queen. I didn't really get Queen at first, so anyway, those are my influences. As far as the vocals, I got involved with music at school about sixth grade, and I think in choir like 7th and 8th grade. My mom sang at the church, and so I was actually doing things like that. Eventually started stripping the lyrics for top 40 songs.
I'm so glad you said the lyrics, because if you started stripping, then
getting back to
right.
But yeah, we'd take the pop lyrics away and write about Jesus and God and stuff like that. So people that was my earliest, I guess, part of actually maybe writing songs. Nice. And so that's kind of like what happened. And then, I lost track of music, raising the kids, as far as like any kind of musical endeavor. And, but, got reacclimated about, I don't know, it was in my 40s, early 40s, and, got encouraged to audition for some band and do some stuff. And then this thing kind of took on a life of its own over the years. And it's been a big ride, a fun ride.
Well, especially here in the Reno area, everybody knows who Seedless 10DenC is at this point, and I think everybody's sort of itching to get back to live music at some point. Now, speaking of getting back to music, wanted to play My Head, but real quick before we play the song, if one of you wouldn't mind explaining a little bit about the song itself and where you were going with the songwriting process.
Well, what do you think, Sammy? Where do we go with this?
I saw you, bro.
I think this is literally one of those songs where if I recall correctly, I was getting ready for the day.
Keyword.
And, yeah, just getting ready for the day, and this tune just literally, no pun intended, got in my head, and just started like just being silly, with the lyrics and stuff like that. And then, it's kind of like people saying, "Hey, man, that's pretty funny stuff." And so, and basically, it's a whimsical little song. Sublime had their Smoke Two Joints, and Seedless 10DenC has My Head. That's pretty much, I think, the gist of that song. It's a fun song. People really like it.
Very cool. Well, let's listen to it right now, and people can get a sense of just how much fun it is. This is My Head by Seedless 10DenC.
My head, it's all I think about from the time I rise and wake and bake. I don't want to leave it out, it's what I do. And when I wake up in the morning, scratch that razor across my face. It's detached to my head, so ha ha hoo hoo hoo. It's my head, my head, my head, my head, till the day I'm dead. Oh yeah, oh, it's all about my head. Your head, just think about, now see what you do. When they call it a noggin, your turban, toboggan, a mug, shy jewelry. So pay some attention to the invention that Jah gave ya. Take me advice, I'll say it real nice one day. It could save ya, cause under the influence you're gonna do what you wanna. What a boy says, you better check your medulla oblongata. When drinking and thinking the fun won't stop, there is no end in sight. You wake up in the morning, it feels like dynamite, exploding inside like a mesa, bill Spanish for your day. Then you're rubbing on your head, and wanna stay in bed. Oh yeah. See, it's all about your head. About from the time I rise and wake and bake. And it doesn't always have to be about boozing and why we smoking weed. Cause check it out. One day I was walking round, the sun was shining on my face. I don't like to live without Lake Tahoe. Was on a whirl with my best girl with no intention to reveal this instinct from my head that gets me into trouble. Now I didn't see her coming around the corner, looking so good I knew I needed a cold splash of water. My head kept stretching and stretching and stretching as she walked on by, and I was trying and trying. I tried with all my might. My girlfriend surely noticed and almost broke my neck when she hit me upside my head, then told me she wished I was dead. Oh yeah. See, it's all about your head. The head, the head, the head. Talking about the head, my head.
It's not every day you get a Waterboy reference in a song. Every time I hear it, that one lyric, medulla oblongata, just sticks out to me. But
it makes it all worth it, huh?
Oh, so much fun. So much fun. Now, talking a little bit about the writing process, do you guys have a sort of a standardized process, or is it sort of an open door where somebody can bring in a set of lyrics, a groove, a riff, whatever it is, and then you guys start workshopping it? How do you guys go about creating a song?
I've kind of seen the creative process from when I joined the band to be very open door. Regardless of who actually brings the initial idea, it absolutely takes different form as it goes from member to member. It's really fun. It's like the only way it should. Like, obviously you have like a template, someone brings like a template, these are the chords, this is kind of what I imagine the groove to sound like, or like whatever the melody is, whichever order it comes first, and it forms itself when you have a group of talented people in a room. It's very easy. It's natural.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands where, you get one or two primary songwriters and God forbid one of the other members brings something to the table. But it sounds like you guys are very collaborative in the way that you put things together.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody's input. I guess on this, the most recent EP, Hunters and Gatherers, which is out right now on iTunes and all the internet platforms. My head is one of the ones on that. Oh, and I might add real quick, Kristian, that it also has an extended play of my head, which basically is the version that we do live. Cool. So at the end of the song, we do a little vamp and another little additional message. But anyway, Smoke and Mirrors is one where it was the first song that I actually kind of pretty much composed the chord structure on a guitar for the first time. Most of the time I would either be on a keyboard or in a rehearsal session, and we just start a vibe going, and I'll kind of record it and then take it in my own space and go from there. But Smoke and Mirrors, literally, we started out in just a little session work, and it kept building and building. By the time we were actually in the studio, we had the composition for the bridge, but didn't have the lyrics at all. And so the lockdown actually provided a extra time, for me to visit that. And I'm absolutely convinced, I'm sure everybody else would agree, that if it wasn't for that extra time to visit that particular bridge, the song wouldn't be quite as strong, as it is, and it came out.
Right. Well, let's do this. We're going to head to a break. When we come back, we're going to listen to one more song, the song Rain, and then we'll talk a little bit about that and how the COVID lockdown has been affecting you guys. And I'm sure you guys are just chomping at the bit to get back up on stage. So we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter, Brooklyn, was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Doesn't see a drop. Why do the disadvantaged have to climb that hill when the fortunate ones just won't give it up? Now you and I have been around enough to know that sometimes attitude is all we got. But just keeping it real with no malice but still. And don't you ever stop, 'cause it's just rain. Oh, rain. Damn rain. Don't let it get you, don't let it get you down when it's all around. 'Cause it's just rain. Hey, now listen to me, now I'm spinning to you. Don't ever let a trouble life reduce you a fool. Just keep it up and don't give up, just make it a breeze. Nobody ever said you get to do what you please. I know what you please, I'm from the wrong side of the tracks. So put your eyes on someone else and take that monkey off your back. When you climb up that hill, downhill's on the other side. So let it rain, oh rain, damn rain. Don't let it get you, don't let it get you down. When it's all around, just let it rain. Want everything right now. I want an Oompa Loompa. I want it right now. I want it now. Want it now. Want it now. I want an Oompa Loompa, and I want it right now. I want it now. I want it now. 'Cause it's just. It's just hey, that's alright, Veruca, 'cause it's just
God, I love me some driving guitars, and I do want an Oompa Loompa now, so that song is quite fitting. This is Phoenix Rising Rock Spotlight, today on Seedless 10DenC. Now, that song is a song called Rain that you guys actually recorded for your first album, if I'm not mistaken, but this is the remix, remastered, re-recorded. What did you guys end up doing to update it?
Well, when we brought Sammy on, as he did with all of our songs, he really brought this particular one to life, as he does with all of them. And this is the way that this song was supposed to be. It was written about kind of a message about suicide. It's something that seems like at this point it's touched like all of us. At one point, we have a friend or somebody, unfortunately, or know somebody. So it's a big thing going on with adolescents right now. And so that's what the song was originally written about, just a little bit of encouragement to keep going. And metaphorically, life's problems are just rain, man. It's part of it, you know what I mean? And you need them. And, there's a couple different people I looked at when I was writing this song, it's like when it starts raining, there's people that'll just like, oh my gosh, it's raining. They'll cover, up and shield their head. They don't want to get and there's people that open their arms and they embrace it. So kind of, if you were ever able to kind of just look at your life's issues and problems like that and just embrace them and deal with them, it's part of life. That's kind of like what the message of the song's all about.
That's great. Yeah, and unfortunately, suicide does affect us all. All of us at least know somebody or know somebody that knows somebody that's been affected by it. And, we've mentioned it a couple times that, in this current state in time with the COVID lockdown, it's a bigger concern than ever. Now, speaking of the lockdown, what are you guys doing to stay busy? Are you throwing stuff back and forth? Are you writing new music? Are you planning future performances? How are you spending this time? Joe, maybe you want to chime in.
Well, first thing I did was rebuild my personal studio and just start recording. Doing that and just woodshed. Times like this is when you sit back and you say, oh, okay, well, let's, life has thrown you some rain and let's make sunshine out of it, and so mostly just working in the studio. Of course, I'm also working at my job, and so fortunately I've been able to work through this, but just woodshed.
Yeah, you got to keep those creative juices flowing. Evan, what about you? What have you been doing?
Well, absolutely on the same path as Joe. I don't have the ability to have a home studio quite yet in my apartment complex, but still every day, this is where I play. Fortunately, a lot of the places I used to play aren't what's qualified as an ambient music location, which is what's qualified to play at. And I just don't have like a really great jazz ensemble. I've got my acoustic guitar sometimes only. I've got this band, so sometimes outdoor practice too. People go to the skate park. I'll go to the skate park and play for some people or something.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Anything to keep you, keep those chops warm. Now, Sammy, do you have a kit in the house? Are you there annoying the neighbors into all hours of the night?
I wish.
No, he has a kid in the house.
Hey, that'll do it.
She's annoying me. No kid. I live in an apartment as well. So I can't have, a kid up here. Unfortunately, though, but I guess it's also perfect timing, is I broke my ankle about 8 weeks ago. So I've been kind of taking it easy, trying to rest it up and do what I need to do so that it heals and I can come back better. And unfortunately, my right ankle, too. So it's what I use to drive, what I use to play drums, what I use to, drop kick my friends. I don't know.
Is that how you broke the ankle?
Yeah.
There you go.
Top rope.
And Grady, are you jotting down notes and lyrics and everything during this time away?
Well, Kristian, the way that I pivoted is I took a look at what was going on. The shows, we had 11 shows booked as of February, and they just started dropping one at a time. So by the time I think it was July, it was clear that there wasn't going to be any live productions for Seedless during the year. And fortunately, we had in the interim over the winter, we had planned on producing 4 videos. And so in spite of the fact we couldn't perform, we just turned our energies to that. We produced a video, called Greed, of course. And then Don't Get Angry, which is off the Road to Rome album. We got the video for My Head done. And then the recent one, Smoke and Mirrors, which is a big production. It's the most that we've spent on a video to this point, and it really, Tony Contini with Tony Contini Productions just hit it out of the park. And we had, these guys up early in the morning, one day, 7 o'clock, and we're on top of a roof in Reno, an iconic little backdrop. And and then the last song that we're going to be doing, for this year is Rain. And we'll be working with the Solace Tree. They're behind this project. And as I mentioned, the nature of the song is about teen suicide. So we're looking to organize with some entities that will be able to utilize this for no charge, and hopefully, like I said, it'll help some people out there.
That's great. Now, God forbid this thing continues and we don't have live performance for a while. Any plans to get all of you guys together and do some sort of virtual concert at some point?
You know, I personally, I would not be opposed to that, but I haven't myself. I'm not real hungry, you know, to get out and just play for the sake of playing. It seems like the musicians are doing a great job out there, but if these guys wanted to do something, you know, I'm all ears. But me myself, in the meantime, I'm just kind of like I'm going to start dusting off some of my song ideas as I normally do during the winter months, and you know, it's just I'm going to prepare, you know, for next year. But if something comes up, if somebody wants us to do something these guys think is worthy, we'll absolutely throw down.
Yeah, there's a big difference between playing in front of nobody and playing in front of a packed house. Obviously, you feed off that energy, and that's really what sort of gets that adrenaline pumping. Now, in the last minute and a half or so, I just wanted to run down where people can find you both online, social media, and how they can get your music.
Well, seedless10denc.com, you know, is our website, and that's the number seedless, the number 10, DENC.com. But of course, Facebook, just Seedless 10denc, just put that in the search engine. We also have a YouTube channel now. Sammy and I are going to be working on some, you know, introductory videos and stuff, and probably consistently put more content in that. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram.
Right on. Music-wise, Spotify, Apple Music, any of those streaming platforms?
All of that stuff. You know, fortunately, we've been putting the work in. And so, yeah, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, all the internet platforms, Deezer.
Right on.
At this point, Kristian, they can literally, if they just Google Seedless 10denc, they'll have pages that'll come up and they can find us.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's too many band names that compete with that one. But guys, I wanted to thank you again for joining me. This is Phoenix Rising Rock Spotlight on Seedless 10denc, and it's been a blast talking with you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having us. So much for having us.
Much appreciated, guys. Well, folks, go out there, pick up some Seedless 10denc music, check out the website, and see them on Facebook. That does it for today. We will see you next week with another band on Phoenix Rising Rock Spotlight.